I'm going to have a wee look at reading scales. Okay, and this probably is something that you use every day. If you do any baking, looking at your petrol gauge in your car, all these kind of things. But sometimes we need to use slightly more complicated scales. So we're just going to have a wee look at some, make sure that we are confident in doing this. Okay. First one then, we've got a scale here and we want to say what number the arrow is pointing to. And I'm going to break this down. These ones should be quite straightforward. I'm going to break it down so we can do it for every single one. What we're interested in is the number of gaps. So it's not the lines, it's the number of gaps. So when you're counting, you count the number of gaps. So it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's 4 gaps there. Okay, so you've got one whole number, change my red pen, split into 4 equal sections. So 1 divided by 4 gives you 0.25. That means each section is 0.25, and we're dealing in centimetres here. I've just chopped the bit off the ruler that says centimetres. So looking at the first one, here you've got 1, so we've gone 2 before 1, so this one here must be half a centimetre. Here, exactly halfway between 1 and 2, so this one must be 1.5 centimetres. Here we're going up in 0.25s, it's 0.25, 0.5, 0.75, so that'd be 3.75 centimetres, and the last one would be 5.25 centimetres. Okay. Different kind of scale this time. This time we're going round in a more like a petrol gauge or a speedo, that kind of thing, or a air pressure, anything like that. That one's obviously pointing straight at 10. I don't have any units on this one. They seem to have disappeared. There was some on it at some point. That one would be 10, whatever units it is in the diagram. And the next one is exactly halfway between 20 and 30, so it would be 25. Okay, so not as many different parts to our scale here. Okay, let's try this one. This time we do have more parts to our scale. This is a bit of a strange one. So it goes around this side, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and then it goes back the way again. So it goes 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, 1. So rather odd one. But we're pointing to this point here, which is exactly halfway between 6 and 8. So that would be 7. These are the more kind of scales that we're used to seeing. So if we look at this one again, if I look at the gaps, here I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and each big space is 100 because it goes from 400 to 500. So if we do, didn't mean to write 400s because I said 400. 100 divided by 4, which gives us 25. So each gap is 25. So if we're here, we're at 300, the next one up must be 325 millilitres. This one here, make that one a wee bit bigger actually. That's a bit better. Okay, so here we've got, count the number of gaps, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it goes up 50 along there. So we're doing 50 divided by 5, which is 10. So each spacing is 10 grams, and you can always check that. So here we start at 0, so you go 10, 20, 30, 40, get to 50, so that's perfect. Here we're at 50, 60, 70, that one must be 80 grams. This one down here then, I'm looking at the number of spaces again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and it jumps by 200. So 200 divided by 4 would be 50. We're in grams again. So each space is 50. So we go 400, 450, 500, 550 grams for that one. Okay. Once you have worked out that wee bit, it tells you how much each line is worth. It should be quite straightforward. Okay. hoping this will be quite straightforward because it is probably something that you do use in everyday life. Any problems, as ever, give me a shout.